Hello, welcome to this lesson where we're going to look at the areas of parallelograms. So remember how a parallelogram is any shape, any quadrilateral, where opposite sides are parallel to each other. So it's going to be a shape like that. It's a bit harder to find the area of a parallelogram than a square or a rectangle. To do it and to see how it works, we need to move some of our parallelogram a bit. So we have this green shape, and if we move it over here, you'll see we get a rectangle. So we know how to find the area of our rectangle. Area of a rectangle is A equals height times length. In this case, we have our length here is base B, so we're going to have B. So this is how we're going to begin to find out what our area of the parallelogram is. So here's our parallelogram. Remember, before we moved this triangle to here, and we got a rectangle, and we had the height was over here. So we've just moved the height back over here into the parallelogram. So that's what the perpendicular height. And perpendicular means it meets at right angles or 90 degrees. So it means it's the height that is perpendicular or at right angles to the base of our parallelogram. So remember our rectangle, we need to know both our base and our perpendicular height. Now in our rectangle we need to define area is our height times our length, which in this case is B for the base. And that's the formula that we use, because we've moved this triangle here across to here, and we've used the thing, and we've found the same amount of area, even though we've moved it around a bit. So this here is the area of the parallelogram. So now we need to use the formula to find out what the area of our shape is. So I will do an example. So we're using this formula, and we have to work out what our height and what our base is. Now, our base is easy. That's 10. So we're going to go 10 times. This time we need to be careful which height we use, because this is a form of height. However, it's the slanted height. We need to use the perpendicular height, because remember, we need it to be the one that's like the edge of a rectangle, and it hits the bottom in a right angle. So 8 meters is our perpendicular height. So we'll rewrite this so it stays in the right order. So we had A equals height times base. A equals, our height is 8 meters, times our base, which is 10 meters. So we end up with our area is 80 meters squared, or 80 square meters. Okay, so now it's your turn. This parallelogram has been rotated a bit, so you need to be careful. Make sure that you find the height which is perpendicular to the base. All right, have a go. Okay, so we begin A equals height times base. Now remember, we need our perpendicular height. So we have this here, and that's our perpendicular height. We've just had our parallelogram rotate a little bit. So we're going to have A equals 7, and our base then is this here, the 10. 7 times 10, that's meters by meters. So we end up with 70 square meters as our area. Okay, so this example is similar, but a bit different. We've been given our area, and we have our perpendicular height. We don't have our base, and we're asked to find what our base is. So we need to remember our formula. A equals base times height, or height times base. So our area is 50, which equals our base times 10. So we have to work out what times 10 is going to give us 50 to work out what our base is. And remember, we have to be careful that our parallelogram has been rotated, so we recognize what our base is and what our perpendicular height is. So this here is our base that I've just labeled. So we need to find what times 10 is going to give us 50, and we work out that's going to be 5. So we're going to end up with our base is 5 meters. And you could then check that. You could go area equals 5 times 10, which is going to give you 50. So you can check that and say it's correct. All right, now it's your turn with one of those questions. Have a go. Okay, so we write our area formula. Area is base times height. We're trying to find our base again. So we go 25 meters squared equals base times our perpendicular height, which isn't 14 but 5, because we have this right angle here. So times 5. So you have to work out what times 5 is going to give us 25. And we can work out that's going to be 5 meters. So our base is 5 meters. Okay, and have a go of this one. Okay, so we've been given it again. Our area is 20 meters. The area is base times height. 20 meters squared equals base times 4 meters. Now, what do we need to multiply by 4 to give us 20? The answer there is 5 meters. So our base is going to be 5. And again, we can check that. Area equals 5 times 4, which equals 20, so it's correct. So this is a bit of the content of what we have covered. I hope that's made sense. Let me know if you had any questions. Thank you.